in case you haven't figured it out by now, I live in Michigan. I think that's pretty obvious if you watch most of my videos. Michigan's a great state. I mean, I love it here. Of course, it's also the only state I've ever lived in, but I've traveled to plenty of others, and I always come back here saying, yeah, I do love my state. But there's one thing that Michigan does that I hate, and that is take perfectly good cars off of the road because of the weather. What I mean by that is road salt. Michigan is one of the worst states in the Rust Belt for road salt, and sadly, most cars here over 10 years old have some sort of rust on them. By the time they're 20 years old, forget about it. The rocker panels are gone. And that, unfortunately, is the reason that my car gets so many looks. You know, a 1995 Monte Carlo, it's not exactly a cool car. I mean, it is red, but it's not a cool car until you realize that it has no rust. That's unheard of for a 26-year-old car here. No car that's that old here does not have rust. But that does pose an interesting problem. This is my dad's Volkswagen. It's a 2010 Jetta Sportwagen. And if we look here, this is the front passenger side. We're going to come down here. Let's look at the rocker panel. Yeah, when we got this car in 2019, this was not here. Started out just over here. And then it got more and more and more and more, and it just keeps spreading. We can look at the underside. You can see that it is, in fact, all down through here and up here especially. You can feel it bubbling. Which is interesting that it's here, because if we walk around to the passenger side, you notice none. I will show you also, back here, got some bubbling forming right where the metal meets the plastic bumper. Come around to the back, skip the license plate, and you come to this side, and also you have rust bubbles starting. You can feel them on the other side, right where it meets the plastic bumper. Now, when we discovered this originally, we just said, oh well, let's try to prevent it from spreading. Obviously that didn't work. And basically, this is going to keep traveling down. And my father just said, oh well, guess I'm going to drive it till I can't drive it anymore. Because he does love this car. This is one of his favorite cars he's owned. And he's owned, I think, 11 cars, I think. He loves this car, so he hates that it has this. You know, none of us drive cars that are total pieces of shit. You know, you got my mom's car here. It's only 2 years old. It's almost 3, actually, and the lease is almost up on it. Maybe we'll buy it outright and then flip it, because with the prices right now, it might be worth it. And, of course, we got my car, which is not a piece of shit. I mean, it's comparatively lower build quality than either of these two cars, but it's not a piece of shit. Those cars, they're pretty good. You just got to watch out for the intake manifold gaskets on the 3.1. Other than that, I mean, you're almost at 3800 level reliability. Not quite, though. Anyway, basically, my dad was just going to say, let's drive it, whatever. Well, he got to looking around on the forums about rust in this particular spot on these particular vehicles, the Jettas from this time period, and he found out some interesting information. Volkswagen actually issued for the 2010 model year only a recall specifically for rust on the rocker panels forming very, very early on in the cars, like 5-6 years old into the car's life. So there is actually an issue with the 2010 model Volkswagen Jettas that specifically something to do with the rocker panels. They happen to rust out way quicker than they should, and apparently this is a widespread problem with these particular vehicles. Volkswagen knows this, so they offer a recall for it. My father took this car in to get an oil change last week. I'm filming this on Sunday the 7th. And he asked about this, and the guy looked at it. He said, yes, this should be under recall warranty. Basically, he said, what we do is we give you an estimate. We take that estimate, and we send it to Volkswagen, and then they pay for a repair at a body shop. It's going to take about 3 weeks, but they replace it completely free of charge. So this is great. I mean, Volkswagen is going to take the initiative and say, yeah, let's pay for it. The even crazier part about that is that they are going to replace, we're sure it's going to happen at this point. We're 90% sure that we're going to do this. The craziest part is that the cost of replacing, they're going to replace both of the rocker panels, and I believe they're also going to do something with this. I don't know what. The cost of doing that is more than what we paid for this car. When we bought this car in 2019, I think we paid like $69.95 or something from Suburban Imports in Troy, which is not Suburban Imports anymore. Part of the Suburban collection that's called something else now. The cost of doing that is going to be 9 or 10 grand. Somehow, some way, it's going to be 9 or 10 grand. I guess they have to fabricate a new panel. I don't know. Maybe the car because it's 11 years old. I don't know. But that's a sad problem, but with a happy ending. So that's a little bit of an interesting video for you, because this car is in great shape other than that. It does have a few cosmetic things. This is one of the biggest ones. This plastic panel here, I don't know what happened to it, but when we got it, it was like this. It's only on this one, and this is here. I don't understand what this is, and you can't peel it off either. That's one of the only cosmetic defects that this vehicle has. And the person who had it before us, it was a one-owner car, but it was not maintained well. I mean, they took care of it okay, but they just didn't treat it very nicely. But, oh yeah, we got this too. That's nice. There is no rust forming at the bottom of the tailgate, though, and that seems to be a common problem for cars in the Rust Belt. My father had an Escape before this that actually had rust forming here, and so he sold it before it got bad. But this car is in good shape. I mean, you can see it's not, other than this little scratch there, it's really not in bad shape. Yeah, the rims could use a cleaning, but oh well. I mean, I'll show you here. This is a little sun faded, but look at that. The leather's in good shape. The leather that they use in this, it's very thick. It's not that plush, unlike the seats in my car, which are like, you can push them down like 5 inches because they're so plush. The leather's in good shape. That's a little stain there. Seats are in good shape. Headrests are in good shape. It's got the original floor mats. Got a giant hump, which I don't understand because it's front-wheel drive. This is another little thing. You can see it's missing the little adjuster right here. You can still push it back and forth, and you can pull this up or down, but it's missing the little slidey thing. That was like that when we got it as well. And then I think the only, and by the way, this car does not have a ton of legroom in the back. My father is very short, so he sits very far up. The passenger seat is like where I would sit, and you can see it's not that much room. It's a compact car. Listen to how solid those doors are. You don't get that on a Japanese or an American car. That's a European car thing. You'll hear the fuel pump. It does it when you open the door. This is actually the piece from the junkyard that we tried to find, and we couldn't find one. Seat here. This has a little bit of I think that's called truck seat or something. That's from sliding in and out, because this is so bolstered that when you slide in, you go like this. But it's not ripped. That's just cracking that forms from leather with wear. But you can see seats are in great shape. Passenger seat is in good shape. Steering wheel is a little bit sun faded, I guess you could say. I've tried to convince him to get a steering wheel cover like I have to protect the wheel, but he's like, no. Shift boot's in good shape. It does have an aftermarket radio, but that's not, I mean, the radios that were in these were known for being shitty. It's nice. And this, at this moment, it has 134, almost 135,000 miles. The only other thing on this car that was actually broken when we got it, oh my God, he sits far up. My knees are in the seat right now. This window switch somehow fell into here. Like somebody pushed on it really hard and it just fell in. You could use it, but it was loose and it fell in. Headliner's in good shape. I mean, this car, there's one stain. Steering wheel's so small. This car is worth keeping in good shape. This is a very nice car. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would love to daily drive this car. It's really zippy and fun to drive. Way more fun to drive than a comparable like Civic or Corolla. Listen to the door. That's solid. For comparison, here's a Japanese car. Compared to, that's solid. I do like German cars. Very nice. But that's it. It's a little update on the rust problems on our 2010 Volkswagen Jetta Sportwagen with the 2.5 gasser engine in the SE trim level. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and click like if you like what you see, and follow me on the web, wix.com/theelevatorworld/fans. Bye-bye.